The election is over. Nearly 70 million Americans have already cast ballots, and obviously, 90% of that is Democrats. Donald Trump needs to just throw it in. It's done. It's over. That's why Joe's on a staycation now in his bunker basement. It's over. Not even close. In fact, the early voting could be a groundswell landslide of Trump voters. Continuing to prove that they learned absolutely nothing in 2016, pollsters, pundits, politicians, and even the pontificators on cable news channels keep telling us that all of this early voting means it's over for Trump. It's over. And the handful of Trump voters that did go early, they now want to change their vote. That's what's driving the Change My Vote movement. Really? You don't think it was Biden voters who are, now that they are seeing for the first time the actual avalanche of evidence regarding Hunter Biden, now that they're actually seeing that Joe is completely incognitive, can't hold a thought together, and they had to get him off the campaign trail after a weekend disaster where he was one walking gaffe after another walking gaffe.
Questions and controversy continues today about Hunter Biden, your son's
there is no controversy about my
overseer
son.
dealing.
It's
Just
all a
questions.
lie. It's a flat lie because the president has nothing else to run on. Here's the deal. One of the things that is important is that keep in mind, although they're going to vote on Barrett, I think today. What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of Georgia, he's going to find ourselves in a position where. Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. We can do something about this, and we better get it done. We better get it done. And by the way, we don't do things like those chumps out there with a microphone are doing, the Trump guys.
Yeah, that's right, he's running against George Bush. But hey, why would any Biden voters want to change their vote now? This whole idea that all of the early voting is going to go for the Democrats. I want to espouse yet another theory that you're not going to hear this anywhere else. I want you to remember on election night, I was the one that said President Trump is going to flip states that right now no one considers in play. And I'm going to add Virginia to that list. No one's monitoring. No one's paying any attention. Trump will never flip anything on the coast. He's not going to flip New York. He's not going to flip California. Still want to say that after 3,000 people in downtown Beverly Hills held a Trump rally without Trump? 3,000 in Beverly Hills. And I've told you, there is a perfect storm that has happened in California and is also happening in New York. In California, even liberals are sick and tired of lockdown. They're sick and tired of mandates. It is impeding their right to do what they want to do, which is live personally and selfishly. They want to be able to go out and jog and live that smoothie lifestyle and sit in their cafes and drink their lattes and have their little lap dogs with them and look at each other and talk about how wonderful they are and how stupid flyover America is. They want to be able to do that. If they even drive out to the beach and sit there in their car while trying to eat their lunch and just watch the waves go in and out, they can be arrested and cited for being at the beach. And I'm telling you, there are liberals, they are sick of this, and they are going to go in that voting booth, and they are going to say, I hate the orange man, but he will make this stop, and I will be free. Joe Biden has already told you he's elected. We are in for a long, dark winter. His message is nothing but gloom and doom, misery and despair. Laura Ingraham was absolutely right when she said that Joe Biden's running mate is not Kamala Harris, it's COVID-19. And he is hoping to scare you into voting for him. Yes, cases are going up. Yes, things are spiking, even where I live. Newsflash. 99% of the people who get COVID will live. In fact, 99% of the people who get COVID now show little to no symptoms. The more testing we do, the more positive results it reveals, and this virus is weakening. It is spreading faster. We are developing herd immunity, despite what Fauci Stein and his minions want you to believe, because they've got a vaccine they want to sell. They've got misery they want to sell, because again, a little nerdlet like Fauci, he's never had this kind of notoriety. You understand? This little nerd who ran the class movie projector when he was in school is now like a rock star. People want to talk to him. They hang on his every word. They're enraptured by him. He don't want any of that to go away. He is a star. And when I hear Bill Gates start lecturing that Donald Trump and somebody, they're not medical experts, and they're not... Well, I'm sorry. Bill Gates is a college dropout. Oh, didn't you know that? You know, all that great computer stuff, he didn't do that. It's all stuff he ripped off, stole from other people, and then paid other people to pirate it for him. Bill Gates is a college dropout who made good, and now we're supposed to be listening to him on how to handle pandemics. Oh, that's right, because he's developed a software that can deliver the vaccine and trace you for the rest of your life. So, I'm telling you, more and more Americans are waking up to this kind of stuff, and they've had it. Most adults now realize, hey, COVID is here. We are going to figure out how to live with it, but I want to live my life. So give me the information, tell me what I need to do, and then let me make the choice if I want to put the mask on, if I want to bathe myself in hand sanitizer every 15 minutes. But don't tell me what I'm going to do, got to do, and don't you dare close my schools, close my businesses. Let me go to concerts. Let me go to movies. Let me live my life. And I'm telling you, the American people are going to say that in a backlash against the Democrats, against the lockdowns, and they're going to do it in the voting booth. But again, the pollsters aren't looking at that. The pundits aren't looking at that. The politicians aren't looking at that. They don't understand the hatred out there in California for Newsom. They don't understand that in New York, Democrats hate de Blasio, and they hate Cuomo. And I'm telling you, all of that is building to a Trump landslide. Not to mention, again, the police union endorsing Donald Trump in New York is huge. You have to be from there to understand this. It's huge. It's huge. They're not factoring in the black vote. I'm telling you, he's going to get at least 50% of the black vote. Laugh if you want. 50 cents, I guess you're technically half a buck, half a dollar. You're also half a man. You come out and say, I don't want to be 20 cents, I want to be 50 cents. I'm going to vote for Trump. You took flack from everybody in Hollywood. You took flack from your fellow black comedians, probably, burnout stoners like Dave Chappelle. The streets is talking. I don't need to be saying nothing now because the streets is talking. That was the Dave Chappelle live event in the middle of summer, when he did his, backyard concert, because he talks about protesting the streets, man. Streets is talking. Was slurring, drooling on himself, half asleep. He hit the crack pipe before going out and entertaining. What a low-life scumbag dirtbag. And you're worried, 50 Cent? You're worried about what Dave Chappelle thinks of you? You're worried about some other entertainers think of you? You're worried about your ex-white girlfriend thinks when she says, apparently you ain't black. I got to tell you how to be black. You're caving into Joe Biden. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Wow. 50 Cent, you're not just half a buck. You're not just half a dollar. You're half a man. You can't take it. So you flipped and you flopped. Bye, 50 Cent. But I'm telling you, Donald Trump is going to carry the black vote. That's not being factored in. there is going to be a landslide for Donald Trump. I predict that the vast majority of the early voting is going to go to Trump, and that is going to shock the pundits. Because I know right now what we're preparing for, even on the left, they're preparing that Donald Trump really could win this thing. Yeah, you think? He could squeak it out, and then they're already planning protests, and they're planning, court and dragging this out, and the networks are, basically letting us know no winner will be declared on election night. But I think, this is what I think, this is a little Pastor Martyology now. What I think is going to happen is God is going to so flip the script on this that there will be such an overwhelming avalanche of support for Donald Trump, they will have no choice but to declare the obvious on election night. Especially when they realize, I can see them now at PMSNBC and CNN looking at each other like, the early vote, 85% of it all went to Trump. Yeah, remember Donald Trump over the summer sounding the alarm about mail-in voter fraud, etc., etc., etc.? You don't think that maybe a whole lot of Trump supporters took advantage of early voting because of that? Another 4D chess move by the president. By the way, I know I live in a state, I voted early. My wife and daughter voted early. I can tell you exactly who they voted for. There's a sign hanging up on the wall there. I was working with a coalition in this state because we were prepared that our rhino governor, was going to close the polls due to the pandemic. He did it in February at midnight, the day of the election. Closed them. Yeah. And didn't matter that everybody screamed and cried and that you can't do that and the state constitution. Didn't matter. He did it. He got away with it. So we were all expecting him to say, your most vulnerable citizens here in Ohio are the elderly, and they can't vote safely, and they work the polls. You're going to have to close your polls. So I'm telling you, Trump supporters went to the polls early to make sure they got to vote. Not to mention, I think just about everybody is convinced it will be a record turnout. Who wants to stand in line all day on Tuesday? I'm telling you. Get ready. And though we're also prepared for the fight, and we're going to see the rioting and the nonsense, it could be so overwhelming election night that at that point, why even bother? That even the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media has got to look at each other and say, he did it. I told you before, they're all in because for years, they felt like they got to make or break and pick who the leaders were going to be. We didn't listen. See, they feel like they made Trump in the primary. It's kind of a joke, a lark. And then when they wanted to pull the plug on him and go for Hillary, you didn't listen. What they don't realize is they didn't make Trump in the primary. Trump made Trump. People responded to Trump, not the media spin. And then for 4 years, they tried to bring him down with collusions and impeachment, etc., etc., etc. And more, the president's become more antagonistic, calling them fake news, and guys like me have been calling them more and more irrelevant. And they don't want to be irrelevant. And if this election cycle goes the way I believe it's going to go, boom, shakalaka boom, shakalaka boom.